Hey everybody, it's Sir Snarf here from Airship Syndicate. Hope everybody's doing fantastic. We do have a little bit of an update. Obviously, the global beta has ended for a couple weeks now, and the team has been super hard at work, and we wanted to keep you guys informed as much as we can moving forward as we get closer and closer to early access. I know it's still summer. Hope you guys tuned in and saw the newest trailer. We are just excited as you are to be able to put out a hard date out there, but we know people take it really seriously. They take time off their jobs, they really get amped up, and we want to make sure that we're not going to have any sort of delay once we're ready to release a date. So, really do appreciate the patience. It's coming, I promise. We're working real hard, but do have some exciting kind of factoids to share in the meantime. Specifically, kind of let you know the feedback is valued. Not only are we just saying that we're working alongside the community when it comes to these updates, but we want to try to demonstrate it as much as we can. There's only so much we can do before it's in your hands, but there's been a lot of changes from the closed beta build to what we have today and what we're going to have tomorrow. So um, hopefully, let's dive right straight into it. So a few different kind of notes. If you didn't tune in to the closed beta video, if you hadn't participated or checked out our social media, some of the fun facts from just the crazy amount of people we had in the closed beta, broke all the records that we had, which was awesome. But we did just in the 5 days, only in 5 days, y'all were able to complete over 100,000 hunts. So 183,691 hunts were completed. So those are just boss fights, essentially. Enemies killed 13,600,000 enemies were killed. Again, baby spiders being slain the most with 852,000 of those, and 415,000 expeditions. So those are the Lost Zone dungeon runs, essentially. So a crazy amount of data. So thank you so much for everybody who participated in that closed beta. And let's see what the fruits of your labor result in. So even in the last couple of weeks, we've already squashed 2,000 bugs. A lot of those came from that feature upvotes. So 2,000 bugs are just about closing in on, since just the closed beta had ended. We have a lot more to go, and they keep popping up, but we're swatting them down faster than they're popping up, which is always a great sign. But again, early access, it's going to be the same process. We're going to keep making improvements as they come down the pipes. So great progress from the team. Really proud of all the work they're putting into it, but they're working hard for you guys. So big changes. Let's kind of jump into the first section here. So combat and movement. We've been keeping a close eye on just people who even weren't even in the beta, but had their own impressions and opinions from seeing gameplay video that you might have released from a content creator or from other means. And we hear you, and we're working to address it. So we've noticed it ourselves. There is a little bit of potential sliding just because of how tactile the action combat is. We are noticing that there's maybe a little bit too much movement, especially like two-handed weapons or any kind of attack animations that moved your character a pretty substantial amount. So we've actually did some adjustments to kind of the targeting parameters, depending on where your character is and when you start initiating those attack animations. Your character, if you're in that targeting range, it will disable forward movement, so you're never going to slide past an enemy and let your attack miss or something like that. That paired along with changes to the targeting, a lot of comments about and feature upvote requests about targeting improvements. So we hear you. Absolutely making some adjustments to that. It's way snappier, is the best way I can describe it. But your character will absolutely be tied into whatever creature you're trying to attack. You can lock on with your controller, or if you're on mouse and keyboard, there'll be an indicator of what creature or monster that you are targeted onto. And your attack animations are going to be directly focused on that target and that location, rather than potentially kind of swinging and missing, or character like the locking, switching back and forth too quickly. If you're there to experience it, you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't had a chance to play yet, just know that we're really going to be making the combat feel as responsive and accurate to what you're trying to put as your inputs as possible. So definitely keeping an eye on that. It's feeling way better, way snappier. Again, improvements to come down the pipe if we think we need it, but it's definitely getting closer and closer to what we want for that final polished product. Um, Perfect. We got this is another big one too. So action combat is really one of the defining features is the ability to adapt to whatever moveset your opponent's doing. Have to work on the fly if there's a new spell or a new animation coming in that you weren't necessarily expecting when you're winding up your attacks. So we do want to strike that balance between having, the risk and reward of doing a really big attack that has like a big wind up, and potentially punishing you if you get it wrong. But we also really want to make sure it feels great that you as a player have the agency to, like, hey, I read this attack animation's coming. I was ready with the block. I was ready with the parry, with the repost, the dodge, whatever it might be. So we were a little bit too restrictive on some of those attack windows. So previously, I think we had limited just to daggers that you could do a parry to interrupt an attack animation, but those are really quick attack animations anyway, so you couldn't really tell. So we've actually kind of done a clean sweep across the board that you are able to react on the moment, on the fly, frame by frame, enable a parry, enable a block, mid animation swing, even if you need to. So if you got the big heavy axe, you're about to do it, but like, oh no, I need to block, something big's coming. You'll stop the attack and you'll go into the block for it. So we hope that makes it feel a lot more responsive. I personally think it makes a huge difference. It really does feel like you have absolute control over the situation. If you read an attack is coming, you want to block it, you're going to be able to do that. So we hope so people will be happy with that change. Also, just the warning. So the indicator, there's a huge variety of different attacks each enemy is going to have, and the attack indicator wasn't necessarily it wasn't standardized across the board as far as knowing when that timing. So we're standardizing that. If you see the attack indicator popping up over an enemy, you're going to be able to reliably know when that attack and when do you need to parry and how you need to respond to it, rather than needing to kind of guess based off of which attack animation it might be or something like that. So should make things a little bit more easy to pick up on as you're playing through the game. The big thing, this is actually a huge one. So this is one that's not maybe something you're going to see immediately, but want to definitely address it because it is by far probably the biggest form of feedback that we hear across the interwebs, is just kind of what the character progression looks like. Yes, we're a character-based game. You're not going to have a huge spell book that you're going to be able to swap in and out all the sorts of abilities that you might be wanting to do. But we still want those core characters to exist and feel like they have a kit, and really have a character identity based off of the abilities you get. But we do see how there could be some restrictions as far as just that overall progression, and kind of that character power fantasy that you're able to get into. So we want to address that. So long-term goals, we're swapping some of the core systems that were key to just individual characters and now applying them on an account side basis. So as you're playing any of your characters, you're going to be getting power that goes across your entire account. So you never feel like you're missing out by neglecting your main Wayfinder or whatever your main character might be. If you're playing with any of your Wayfinders, you're going to be starting to unlock progression systems that are going to be available for all of your characters account wide. We definitely want to incentivize players swapping up the gameplay, playing different Wayfinders, unlocking new Wayfinders, fitting into different kind of party roles, and helping out a group activity based off of who you're selecting. But now you're going to have the ability, or what we're working towards is even more customization even in the later game. So yes, that does mean we're adding 2 new account level systems, which are archetype and our armory level progression systems. We're going to have more details on it come later, but this is going to be more than just stat sticks. This is actually going to be, ability systems that you're going to be able to slot into new areas of your character kind of UI to customize how you play the game as a Wayfinder. So really excited to share some more details on that as we get closer. just know it's on the horizon and we're listening. We get it. People want to be able to have customization. We want to offer that. So echoes. So echoes are a huge part of your build as a Wayfinder. Your all your stats, if you're going to be tankier, if you're going to be breaking posture, if you're going to be doing ability power DPS or attack power DPS, this all really comes down from the meat and potatoes, which is echoes. Um, with that said, we understand it's a lot. It's very confusing. Previously, how the system set up, it was just hard to find out exactly what was the best echo for what you were trying to achieve. So we're doing a big overhaul to the organization of that. You're going to be able to sort. You're going to be able to have, if it's very clearly stated, if it's going to be an offensive echo, if it's going to be a defensive echo. And in addition to that, we touched on it with type E echoes, but across the board, we don't want everything just to feel like a stat stick. We want to add some diversity there so you get some really creative builds as far as just like what your attacks are going to be. So expect more variety when it comes to the type of echoes that you're going to get rather than just stat modifiers. So really excited for you guys to see and get your feedback on what you think of the ecosystem once that's fully rolled out. Enemy variants. So attack animations and enemies themselves. This actually is purely because you guys, we were able to get so much data from the beta of how long engagements took, what type of engagements they were, what type of mods, which types of groups were spawning. And we were noticing that, sometimes even like the big mini bosses were taking as long as just like small little groups and kind of fodder enemies. So instead of being more, individual packs of just, okay, this is going to be this type of enemy that spawns here, and it's just going to be that one variety, we're going to be implementing a little bit more of a mix. So you're going to have some big kind of elite enemy mobs and tankier boys alongside the smaller fodder and kind of swarm type enemies. And there's going to be all sorts of variety that's going to be coming along with this. The goal being, we want interesting encounters. We want it to be variants. We wanted a different experience every time you load up a lost zone, go into an expedition, just roaming around the highlands or any other open world area. We want you to feel like, ooh, this is a cool combination. This is a new challenge that I have to overcome. What do I do to make sure I get out of this alive? So expect some variants with the mob density and spawn rates and composition, which is pretty cool. Social systems, oh boy. So yes, improvements are absolutely coming down the pipes here. We noticed some of the chaos that was just having global chat open for beta. So some of the cool features that are coming here, you are going to be in the region chat by default now, rather than just thrown into the wilds of global chat. Global chat will still be around for the people who really do want to broadcast their voice to the world at large. But also we're enabling localized chat. So it's going to automatically notice if you're speaking in whatever your regional dialect would be. And it's going to put you into a chat for location. So if you're speaking Portuguese, it's going to put you in the Brazilian chat, Portuguese chat. So you're going to be an easy experience to talk with your fellow Wayfinders with a language that you all prefer to talk in. You'll also be able to manually select whichever one that you want to be a part of. But again, we hope that will go a long way. Another big thing, you will be able to rescale that chat window to make it to whatever your heart desires for your UI pleasure. So small thing, but I know it's going to make a big deal to a lot of you, especially those who are in the beta. What else? Oh, another big thing. So we heard you loud and clear. We know we want you guys to play together, and it's awesome that a lot of you were finding friends, but a lot of you were only in groups of 2, and you didn't want to be paired with a random third-party member. Yes, for early access, officially, if you go to queue for an expedition, a hunt, whatever it may be, there's just 2 of you. You don't want to have a third join in. You will be able to have an option just to make it the 2 of you. So duo parties are going to be allowed. 3 parties, backfilling is going to be an option. Solo play is going to be an option. So really give you all the tools at your disposal to make sure that you get whatever expedition experience that you want to have. Last one that we got here. Oh, this is kind of just going over. So again, if you're new around here and you hadn't had a chance to jump into the beta, I'm sorry to hear, but we're glad you're here now. But we just want you to know that we're really trying to work alongside the community. It takes a ton of work to be able to adapt to our production schedules, try to keep everything on time, and build a game that we're really excited and lives up to the vision of what we know it can be. So. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort from you guys as well to take the time and give us that feedback. It's so easy just to go on with the other thing that's going on in all of your busy lives, but really, really do appreciate everybody who's taking that time to give us that feedback for us to make these improvements and make the game all that much better for it. People who were in the last beta got to test out some of those changes, as far as like the jump dash with that whole new kind of layer and complexity and dimension of movement and combat and exploration. We also increased the movement speed. Doing the whole camera overhaul, we have even more improvements coming to just how the camera works, especially in those tight and narrow spaces. The material codex, so you can really go track down what you're looking for and for how to craft your wayfinders, your weapons. Performance issues, and a whole lot more, just to name a couple of things. So thank you so much. We're really going to try to continue to demonstrate we're committed to working alongside you. We're building a game that's going to be free, fair, and continuously improving for the foreseeable future. So thank you so much for everybody who has been here for all the tests and the betas up till now. Thank you so much for everybody who's excited for early access. We are just as excited as you are. I can't wait for us to give you a date. Unfortunately, we're not ready to give that yet, but just know it's coming. Everything still seems to be on track, which is awesome. And if you haven't done us already, we're getting a ton a day. But I love seeing our ranks climb in the Steam wish list. So if you haven't gone so already, please go tell your friends, go wishlist on Steam or whatever platform that you want to play on. And we will see you in Evanor for early access very soon. #. Thanks, guys.